Alright, let's talk about the Riftbreaker. Some time ago, I have seen the trailer for the Riftbreaker. It looked pretty good, but at the same time, I was playing something else and I was engaging with other gaming genres. However, I kept the game on my radar in case I get the urge to play these types of games. Then, suddenly, I started searching out for the games that have base building and defending, and after playing They Are Billions, the Riftbreaker suddenly became very much appealing. Also, not so long ago, patch 2.0 was released, so I thought to myself, this is the best time to check it out and see what's going on. Just for the reference, this is what I did in game. I have finished the campaign 2 times. First time I played on normal with all the DLCs completed, while the second time I played the campaign on hard, but I did not engage with the DLCs. I played several survival games, but I did not play any co-op because I don't really care about co-op. As always, a small introductory, what the game is all about, and then I will analyze each aspect of the game. So, the Riftbreaker is a hybrid action RPG base building survival game with strong tower defense and light RTS elements. In other words, it mixes multiple genres into one, and that hybrid identity is exactly what defines it. Basically, you build a base like in a strategy game, you fight like in an action game, you defend like in a tower defense game, and you explore biomes like in an open map survival game. The devs managed to incorporate a variety of different genres, and it turned out to be pretty damn good. The game initially was released in 2021, however, version 2.0 came around 2 months ago. The game uses the in-house engine developed by Exor Studios. This allows them to pull off very good visual fidelity, detailed environment, strong lighting, and varied biomes. The art style leans towards lush alien worlds and mechanical/industrial bases, so there is a nice contrast between organic alien flora and fauna and high-tech structures. That helps immersion because it gives you a feeling of the outside world creeping in on your base, where you constantly need to be vigilant of the potential dangers lurking behind every corner. However, same thing can be said in reverse. You are coming to the alien world to transform it for your needs, effectively subjugating it, and the inhabitants are trying to remove you since you don't belong there, and frankly you are a threat to their way of life. There are 4 distinct biomes and every single one of them looks unique. You start in the jungle biome and then later on you visit the volcanic area, radioactive desert, and the acidic plains. With the addition of the DLC content, you get 3 additional biomes: metal biome, caverns, and swamp biome. Overall, the game looks really good. I was actually surprised how good it looks, but to achieve the full visual spectacle, you need a decent hardware. The best part, however, the game still looks excellent even at moderate settings. That essentially means that you don't need to crank your PC to the max, and if you have a bit older hardware, you can still enjoy the game at the fullest. To be fair, there isn't really that much happening in the story. You play as Captain Ashley S. Novak inside a powerful mech suit she calls Mr. Riggs, who goes through one-way portal to the alien planet of Galatea 37 to build a base and ultimately open a rift to Earth. Ashley is sent to Galatea 37 as a forward scout or advanced vanguard in order to prepare the planet for successful colonization. The game isn't that heavy on the narrative. It prioritizes gameplay loops, base building, and combat over deep character drama. That being said, there are still bits and pieces of dialogue that give both of the characters their distinct feel. This is further expanded upon in the 3 DLCs. Each of these introduces a new branch of the story campaign, not a whole separate game mind you, but an extension of the base campaign, in a new biome or environment on the planet, giving narrative and mechanical expansions. For example, Metal Terror DLC gives you the legacy of the Metallic Valley, Into the Dark illuminates the planet's subterranean mysteries, and Heart of the Swamp introduces ecological and parasite threat themes. The DLC content is integrated seamlessly with the main campaign. Because they unlock as you progress, you don't feel like you're dropping into a completely different game. the story continues with what you were doing. You can easily stop with the main quest and get sidetracked with the DLC content. Usually what will happen is there will be an event, and then you can essentially interact with the event in form of investigation of the said event. You collect certain samples, and then the DLC quest triggers. Another thing that is new with the DLC content is the ability of choice. You can choose the endings of each DLC story. However, the choices available to you aren't that impactful. I went with the choices that felt natural to me, but they did not impact the main story at all. As far as I can tell, only the cutscenes changed based on your choices. To be frank, I didn't really care about the story to begin with because this isn't the type of the game that needs a compelling story. What we have here is perfectly fine and it serves its purpose really good. The Riftbreaker does a good job with its audio work. The music seamlessly flows from serene exploration to battle-ready urgency, tailoring itself to each unique biome and story expansion. The mech's weapons resonate with satisfying heft, while the ambience of alien terrains keeps you immersed. Though the soundtrack is consciously unobtrusive, allowing UI and voice lines to shine through, it still builds atmosphere in a subtle, consistent way. If there is a minor caveat, it's that during huge late-game assaults the soundscape becomes very busy, and some nuance may fade. That's completely expected, given the fact the base can be assaulted by hundreds of creatures, and what you hear is sheer mayhem of towers firing and monsters screeching while battle is on the way. Overall, I would say that the audio elevates the gameplay loop. You don't just see your base grow and your defenses hold, you hear it happen. So to recap, soundtrack and sound effects are okay, they serve their purpose, exactly what you would expect. The gameplay loop can be roughly summarized into 3 categories: base building, defending, and exploration. Base building is pretty much what you think it is. You have various buildings that serve several purposes, from gathering materials, generating energy, defending, all that good stuff. While doing so, you have to take care into organizing things as well as planning ahead how to structure everything because certain buildings need certain materials to function. For example, say you are making a nuclear power plant. In order to make it work, it's important to bring water to it via pipes. That means you have to find a water source, or in this game a pool of sludge or mud, connect it to the water filtration plant, ensure there is enough power to make it go, and then in the end construct a pipeline to the power plant. This is an example of codependency that facilitates managing systems, which when working and interacting together create means to upgrade and expand your base. There are not a lot of these systems, but they add a bit of complexity when building a base. Essentially, it all boils down to generating more and more power, and this is where the systems come into play. In a nutshell, more power means bigger base and better defending capabilities, which makes power, or in this sense electricity, the most important currency in the game. While building your base, you will be motivated to go beyond its walls and perimeter in order to do a bit of exploration. This gives you the opportunity to find more resources to extract and to find items that you can use to upgrade your mech suit, namely weapons and mods. They can be acquired by interacting with the open world, usually in a form of killing monsters or performing other monster-related activities. These might include destroying a nest or exterminating alpha-level monsters, which is another way of saying defeating bosses. Additionally, there are nodes across the map which can be interacted with that can either give you resources or equipment as a reward, or they can spawn a wave of creatures which will act as the defenders of the node. Upon defeating the creatures, you can interact with the node just like you do with the other ones, but the rewards will be better since you had to do this little defense wave killing kind of a thing. Other open world events may transpire, some being available only in specific biomes, but usually you can pretty much figure out which ones are the general ones and which ones are the specific ones. I found these events to be pretty okay, except the yeast event, especially if you decide to ignore it. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind it, but my god, that thing can make you go mad. So hot tip, kill it before it lays eggs. While exploring, you can activate a scanner, which gives you a chance to uncover hidden elements underground. This can be either a material hoard, mining node, or a resource like geothermal vent. It works like a sonar and it points you in the direction of the hidden element. Think of this as a little treasure hunting activity, which sometimes can give you really nice things, especially in terms of strategic placement for your base. The last aspect of this loop is base defense. This game will periodically throw waves of enemies at your base. In the campaign, this is connected to the story, while in survival mode, the waves are hitting you within the same interval. Whatever may be the case, you must ensure the survival of your base, because if you are not prepared, it is very painful to recuperate, especially on higher difficulties, which are based on the level of your HQ. In order to defend your base, you can build walls, defensive towers, traps, and shields. The setup is pretty simple. Make a double wall, put a bunch of towers behind it, preferably with different damage types. Get the shield generator to ensure protection from AoE attacks or artillery attacks, and you are set. You might notice that I didn't mention traps in my setup. That's because I haven't used them that much, mainly because they need to be recharged manually, but also the amount of firepower you can introduce from your towers makes traps pretty much obsolete. You could put them in certain choke points when the monsters go over them, but essentially they are not that needed. Now, what's pretty cool is that you can actively participate in defending your base with your mech. You have an arsenal of weapons and gadgets that can be utilized in a very effective manner, if you know what you're doing. Participation during base defense is very important, especially before you unlock shield generators and heavy artillery towers. You simply have to utilize your mech against enemy artillery, otherwise your base will get pulverized to oblivion. Trust me, I speak from experience. In that sense, make sure you kill those ranged units, which are usually denoted as orange dots on your minimap, and then later on, with enough heavy artillery, you would be able to have automatic base defense, where you can just sit and watch the waves of your enemies crashing on your base walls like water on the rocks. I gotta say, that sight is pretty satisfying, especially seeing the fruits of your labor coming to fruition. Speaking of your mech, it has 6 weapon slots, 3 for left and 3 for the right arm, and has 8 slots for using various modules and gadgets. I gotta admit, controlling the mech feels really good, and the firepower it can dish out when you get to the top tier weaponry is really cool. You can craft all of available weapons and gadgets except for mods. See, every single weapon has maximum 3 mod slots on max tier, and you can use it to modify the weapon by giving it different damage types, or by introducing variations like chance for extra shot, ammo usage reduction, or for example homing projectiles. There is a decent number of mods, and you can make really interesting combos. Really cool thing with the mods is that the ability to change them on the fly. You found an enemy that's weak against energy, but you only have minigun that deals physical damage? Not a problem. Change your mods and slap energy damage and you are good to go. The modulation is really amazing. Now, the fun starts when you dual wield the weapons. If you so desire, you can have 2 miniguns, or you can have a rocket launcher and a minigun and fire them at the same time. It really feels awesome. The variations are endless, but make sure you have a proper damage type when fighting different enemies, particularly the ones that are effective against them. Just a quick break. If you enjoy the content, consider subscribing and all that good stuff. Now back to the video. Also, when talking about the weapons, I did previously state you can craft all of them. However, weapons that drop in the wild are much better than the crafted ones because they come with extra modifiers on them. In that sense, it is wise to interact with the open world while exploring in order to get a chance for these weapons to drop, because there is no other way to obtain them. I would have liked a system whereby I can craft weapons with extra modifiers by increasing the material demands, or giving some sort of a RNG effect while crafting. That way, if I really want one type of a weapon, I could sort of focus on it and eventually get what I want. The game has a huge tech tree, split into 3 tabs. First one is focused on base upgrades, second one on weapons and armaments, and third one is focused on technology you can extract from studying native species and nature in general on Galatea 37. At first, it might look intimidating, but rest assured, stuff is pretty self-explanatory. In the campaign, tech tree elements are unlocked with resources, and then you gotta wait for upgrades to be researched, while in survival, you only need to wait for them to be researched and you're good to go. The good thing about the tech tree is that it pauses the game while you are inspecting it, so you can analyze it carefree without being harassed by the environment. Also, you can queue your research, but more importantly, you can change the priority of the things you opted to research or put in your queue based on the time required or your immediate needs. While engaging with the campaign, you will have the ability to rift jump, aka teleport to other areas or biomes of the planet. That allows you to progress the story by finding necessary materials. When you are away from your main base or any other base or outpost, you won't be attacked in that particular outpost, and you will gather materials from your ore gathering facilities. This is a neat mechanic, especially when you are exploring and figuring out stuff in other biomes. It also helps you save materials, so you can kickstart your future outpost while performing other tasks, usually resolving a quest. In survival, however, you are confined only to one map, or in this case, one biome, but that's based on your own choice. It's not randomized. You can determine in which biome you want to play a survival game, which gives you a proper idea what you can expect when you start that particular survival game. Speaking of survival games, like I said, the game has a survival mode, which is highly customizable experience focused on a single map. You can pick a biome you want to play, pick your difficulty, or create a custom one with various modifiers, and the fun begins. It's pretty much a way to play this game in an endless mode, and when it comes to base defense, this is perfect. Now comes a time when I'm complaining what, in my opinion, is not so great about the game. These things might range from simple nitpicking, genuine problems, or issues that some might find worrisome, while others might find them completely expected. So, let's see what happens. First thing I notice is slight annoyance with Ashley and Mr. Riggs talking about stuff. It's not that big of a problem, but sometimes I find them to be cheesy or even annoying discussing things or talking about recent or current events. I wouldn't say it's an issue with voice acting, but mostly with writing. I haven't noticed it being a continuous thing, but here and there I would roll my eyes on what the characters are conversing about or how they are approaching certain things and topics. Some folks might find this annoying, but I was mostly focusing on getting stuff done, so it wasn't a big of a deal. Second thing that might cause issues to people is the learning curve. Some things are not explained, and you can find yourself smacking your head against the wall in order to figure out what the hell is happening. I'll give you an example. I was making power plants, doesn't matter which one, because all of them required water. What I didn't know is that my water filtration plant needs an independent electricity source. If you don't do that and your electrical net is intertwined, in a case of your main power plant destruction, the system will leach electricity from every available source without prioritizing buildings that generate resources required for other buildings to operate. In a sense, you cannot outline which systems should get electricity first. In my case, I had to disconnect everything in order to figure out what powers my water filtration plant and then make it fully independent from the rest of the power network. One way to do this is to have dedicated source of power only for those buildings and ensure they cannot connect to anything else other than water filtration. Usually what I do is I find a geothermal vent, build a power plant on it, and use that power plant energy or electricity only to power my water filtration facilities. That way, in an event one of my main power plants, which are usually fusion ones, gets destroyed, I only need to worry about them getting back up instead of inspecting the whole system. I spent a good 10 minutes figuring out what was the issue when I encountered it for the first time, and let me tell you, it wasn't a pleasant experience. Always make sure your water filtration facilities have independent power no matter what happens. third thing that I observed is the repetitiveness of the game. Now, these games are going to be repetitive no matter what you do. This is how they play, and there is nothing wrong about it. The problems are only visible if it's too repetitive. For example, you have to make walls, you have to make towers and shield generators in most cases in order to successfully defend your base. There is no exception. What breaks the repetitiveness is, at least for me, the layout of the map. There are going to be different choke points, different resource placements, and so on and so forth, because every map is randomly generated and you don't really know what you're gonna get when the map loads. This presents you with the different challenges to solve. The randomness gives a bit of freshness to the whole formula in a way that it's not that visible nor cumbersome. This is especially noticeable in the survival mode, where every map is different and you have to utilize what you have in front of you in order to construct a successful base. You can easily play a couple of campaigns without noticing this, as well as survival scenarios, but eventually if you overdo it or if you cannot accept the repetitiveness, you will have issues. So far as I'm concerned, I haven't been hit with those feelings, so I'm good, but I can see this happening if I kept pushing or if I kept playing non-stop. Fourth point I would like to raise is pacing and mission structure. During the campaign, the game simply throws missions after mission, objective after objective at you. In other words, it would be nice if there were more natural breaks, clearer mission designs, or less quote-unquote busy work. For example, when you are developing tech to mine 3 unique materials, which are uranium, titanium, and palladium, and ultimately make an outpost which will serve that purpose in their respective biomes, you always go through the same process. There are always 3 or 4 missions where you have to investigate things in order to reach a point where the game will let you build an outpost where you can mine the elements you require. The script is the same no matter what you do. You have to go through it. There's no other way. This seems a bit tedious, particularly when you realize that you need to do this 3 times. First time for uranium, second for titanium, and finally, third time for palladium. However, I can understand developers using this as a vehicle to present the biomes to the player and give an idea what to expect here. I mean, first time when I was doing it, I was like, okay, I get it. It's my first time going through the campaign. But the second time it felt like it's so unnecessary because I already know what I need to do. Speaking of pacing, some DLC missions can be too long and borderline annoying, especially the ones where you are presented with a gauntlet-like map where you have to go from one end of the map to the other, whereby you are continuously being besieged by the enemies and you are trying to cross to the other side. I really couldn't wait for the mission to end as fast as possible due to the fact it being so tiring. There aren't many of these missions, but you can certainly feel the strain after you have finished them. After spending so much time with the Riftbreaker, I can say without a doubt the game, as far as I'm concerned, plays really well. I really like how they mix different genres into a single game. I didn't think this was something I needed in my life, but apparently I stand corrected. I like a lot of things in this game. How I can have several bases, all of them being organized in a nice fashion. How I can use both of my guns at the same time and rain hell on the enemies. How amazing my base looks like with all the defenses I have built, especially when a huge wave of mobs is attacking me. And afterwards, all I do is just watch how they are being obliterated out of the existence. To cut things short, there are many things that I enjoy about this game. It might be because I didn't have any expectations. I just went in the game and experienced everything without any bias, and I had a really good outcome. Or this formula simply works really freaking good. Or because I had such a bad experience with They Are Billions, this seems like a breath of fresh air. Whatever may be the case, I can without a doubt recommend this game to people who like base building, tower defense, open world exploration, basically all the things that makes this game tick. The game is not as complex as Factorio or Satisfactory. It does have certain problems, but at the end of the day, what matters is that it executes all of its aspects really good, and I think that matters the most. It has the energy, variety, and sense of scale that makes it stand out. If you want a game where your strategy matters, your reflexes matter, and your base feels alive, the Riftbreaker offers one of the most unique and entertaining mixes in the genre. So give it a go, and maybe you will also have a good time like I did. That's it from me, until the next time.